Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron, and you are tuning in to my Gruul Reverse Ponza Aggro Decktech here on the channel. I'll be using tappedout.net to showcase this deck for you today, as it is an awesome website that allows you to catalog and playtest your deck lists quickly and easily. Now, Gruul Ponza is a well-established tempo deck in the modern format that uses fast mana from Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl to ramp into Bloodbraid Elf that then cascades into land-locking spells like Stone Rain or Blood Moon. This deck, however, chooses to voraciously ramp out as many lands as possible, reaping the benefits of either accruing value through lands entering the battlefield or by destroying our own lands for the titular cards Devastating Summons and Hammer of Perforos. Considering how land and mana hungry this deck is, we're rocking 23 lands and 14 sources of ramp spells by either untapping lands with Garruk Wildspeaker, tutoring lands into our hand with Sylvan Scrying, cheating lands into play with Atarka's Command, ripping lands off the top of our deck with Courser of Krufix, or by recurring lands back from the graveyard onto the battlefield tapped with World Shaper. For 1 red mana and sacrificing any number of lands, Devastating Summons will give you 2 XX red elemental creature tokens. There is so much room for a blowout with this card. 2 1/1s is good and all, but ultimately you want to pop this card off with ways of ending the game either that turn or the following turn, and when your opponent is tapped out. A Hammer of Perforos is perhaps the better card to fodder off lands with, as it also grants haste to the 3/3 golem tokens it poops out. Perhaps the best way of getting value out of these spells is by doubling the tokens created with Delving Season and Mirror Pool, which means that we're also running a few Planeswalkers in the form of Arlen Cord, the aforementioned Garruk Wildspeaker, and Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. Doubling Season is definitely one of those overpowered lightning rod type cards, so you definitely don't want to run it out on curve, unless you're trying to bait out a removal spell to protect another threat. Being able to ultimate any of your Planeswalkers upon resolution or dropping 4 elemental tokens is insane. So it's a no-brainer to include it in the deck. To put this into numbers, with Doubling Season in play, casting Devastating Summons and copying it with Mirror Pool by sacrificing 3 lands, you will get 8 3/3s on the battlefield. That is 24 damage on the board. Some of the creatures in our deck, like the Elemental Tokens and Undergrowth Champion, can get pretty big pretty quickly. So in order to profit off of that, we'll be running 3 Flings and 3 Momentous Falls to either send that big body flying at our opponent for the last chunk of damage, or to refill our hand in response to a removal spell or a board wipe. Finally, looking at our sideboard, you'll notice that I tend towards a few cards when it comes to including them into the 15. Barring Vexing Shusher and Beast Within, the cards listed can be run in any deck because they aren't limited to a color. So that makes them like prime inclusions not only in your sideboard, but also in your collection. Having said that, Beast Within is perhaps one of the best green removal spells outside of the Golgari staple Assassin's Trophy, and Vexing Shusher puts counter magic out of commission. Although this deck runs pretty well against Burn and Zoo, with 3 copies of Courser of Krufix and 3 Undergrowth Champions soaking up a ton of damage, we include 2 Chalice of the Voids in order to counter 1 converted mana cost-centric decks like Infect, Bogles, and Humans. Another silver bullet against humans is Torpor Orb, which is nice because it doesn't hit any of our creatures. Damping Sphere comes in against Storm, and alongside Beast Within and Surgical Extraction against Tron. And the Eldrazi Titan Kozilek Butcher of Truth can be a hilarious way of hosing an opponent's mill or hand disruption strategies. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this deck tech. Please leave a comment letting me know what content you'd like to see more of in the future. Subscribe to the channel or follow me on my other social media platforms. My name is Aaron, and have an awesome day.